Do you remember your first professional jobs? The first time you were paid to act? You said, I do this. This is my job. Daniel, you're nodding. What is it?
Yeah.
Tell us.
It was a Western, wasn't it?
George, I think you should answer this question. 'Cause you haven't said
First job I was
anything
paid for? Batman and Robin.
Not the first job you were paid a lot for.
Well, the first one, when you get, you could get paid jobs every once in a while for a while, because, it was such a weird time, to try and get into the Screen Actors Guild, you had to get a job, and you couldn't get a job without getting into the Screen Actors Union. So everybody I knew, including myself, would just write lies across, you just make up these credits just to get in, and they didn't have the internet at the time, so you could get away with anything. You're like, yeah, I was in that. And, I remember lying to a casting director about this movie called Cat People, and I was like, yeah, I was in it. This casting director, Barbara Clayman, was like, you were you? And I was like, yep. And then she goes, because I cast that. And I'm like, yeah. And then you finally have to go, well, that's a lie, and that's a lie. I can't get in SAG. Help me out. And she helped me get a job on a film called, it was called The Predator, but it's not The Predator later. This was one even earlier. It was Grizzly 2. And we shot it in Hungary. And I got my SAG card on Grizzly 2. It was Charlie Sheen and Laura Dern and I, all three of our first jobs. And as big as they became, as later, the movie never came out. That's how bad a film it was. But I got my SAG card off of that.
I'd really like to see that.
I would too, actually. I think the guy, and I'm not kidding, the guy who financed it went to jail. So
because he made the film.
Yes, if you'd seen me in it, you would understand why.
Were you paid for that little thing that you did in Sunday Bloody Sunday?
Yeah, I was paid. I was 12 at the time, and there was a local grocer in the street where I lived in southeast London who was given. She was like the unofficial mayor of that parish, and so the casting agent wisely asked her to round up all the local hooligans, and of which I suppose was one. And she asked us initially to play soccer in the park as a background shot, and we were going to get £2 a day for that. We looked at each other, we thought they must be insane, because that's what we were doing all the time anyhow, was playing soccer. Get paid. It was my first professional soccer match, in fact. And then the next day, John Schlesinger asked to see the nastier types amongst us, and he chose three of us to walk out of the local church, St. Alfred's Church in Greenwich, in which I was actually a choir boy at the time, and we had to walk out of the church and scratch a row of fancy cars with a broken milk bottle, and I got £3 for doing that.
James, what was that part that you got plucked into that started your career?
It was called The Near Room, which is a quote from Muhammad Ali, strangely. It was a film noir set in Glasgow about child prostitution and pornography.
I see the connection.
I had the leading comedy role, and I played a pimp's son who was going out with one of the young prostitutes, and I was terrible in the film. In this very nice director, stroke actor called David Heyman, Scottish guy, gave us the part, and I hope I can pay him back one day because he got me started, and I really was truly rubbish. But I then went to drama school. I didn't really consider that as that's me, I'm an actor now. I got paid for it though. And it wasn't until I was about 23 that I thought, yeah, I'm properly an actor. So yeah, that was the first one.
Marion, what about you?
Well, I remember quite well the first thing I did. I was 5. My parents are actors on stage, and they had a friend. He asked them if I would agree to play a part in that. It was for the TV, actually. Okay. And I have a very vivid memory of all this. I was with a dog, and I really enjoyed it. I mean, I was very young. 5 is very young, but I really remember every single minutes of it. And then I get paid, but much later.
That was a preview of things to come, I guess. Yeah, the much later payment. Yeah.
Yes, I was too young.
This is an interesting thing. How old were you when you got your, like 19 when you did your first acting job? Or,
No, I think this, I was thrown into something by my parents that I don't remember when I was about 5.
and Daniel, how old were you? You were your first gig, like
I
11
was 20.
or, but like Bloody Sunday, like the first time you did it was.
Oh yeah, but that,
that wasn't-
yeah, that was just.
Because it's
messing
really
with
interesting
it.
how young
Everybody
was too.
was.
That's a
Yeah.
maybe that's a.
But didn't you study with Lee Strasberg, like when you were
No, I studied, my mom studied with him, but I studied at the Lee Strasberg Center.
at the? But you were
But the-
like
the same
13.
method,
You were
yeah.
really young
Yeah, I was
when you
about
did
13
that.
when I went in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you must have had some idea.
Method's a very strange thing to study at 13.
I bet.
It's all about like recalling things from 7 years ago, so very odd. But yes, I did it.
And Ellen, you were what, 10, 11?
I was 10.
10?
Yeah.
Okay. And what was that part?
That was a movie of the week for the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. It was called Pit Pony.
Pit Pony?
Yeah.
Okay.
It took place in 1906 in Cape Breton, which is an island north of the mainland of Nova Scotia. And it was about a boy who's forced to work in the mines, in the coal mines. I played his little sister.
Okay.